Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Small Business Edge Business Boot Camp for women and minority business owners. Today is our first of 5 spotlight sessions on successful women and minority companies. And in these sessions, we plan to share best practices, how to overcome obstacles, and provide tips and advice to fellow business owners in our 30-minute discussion. And so today, I want to welcome our first small business spotlight, and that's Brett Krugman. Brett is the founder and CEO of Brett Lauren, a jewelry company that uses a non-traditional production platform, hello, Brett, of employing and educating local women from underserved communities to help make beautiful bracelets, necklaces, and more. And if you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. And I also want to welcome Erica Peterson, who is our guest expert for today's show. Erica is the founder and CEO of Digital Project Masters, an online school for people who manage digital projects, and you may have known it as formerly by its former name, which is Moms Can Code. And so with that, I want to welcome Brett and Erica to the Small Business Edge Spotlight Show. Welcome.
Thanks. Hi.
It's great. I tell you what, this is, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, this has been a passion project of mine for a number of years. I did a business boot camp back in 2005 when I had a magazine called Urban Success for inner city entrepreneurs. And just the whole idea, we did a 12-week program and we collaborated with local businesses, and it was fantastic, and everybody got so much out of it. And I kept in touch with them. For 15 years I've kept in touch with a number of them. And earlier this year somebody emailed me and said, you know, Brian, I think we could really use one of those boot camps again. So here we are, and I'm going to have to email her to make sure she's following along. So why don't we get started? This is a 30-minute program, got a lot to cover. Brett, why don't we start with you? Tell us how business has been for you in 2020. You know, give us a quick summary, like some of the obstacles you faced and how you had to pivot your business for COVID.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. 2020 has been a bear. I think it has for most people. If you're selling a consumer product, depending on where you're doing that and what your streams of distribution are, it depends on the effect that it has. I would say between personal illness, COVID, changing production platforms. Because of COVID, I can't go to the shelters and the local organizations I would to employ our ladies to hand assemble the jewelry. So what I found myself doing is preparing packages, driving in and out of Peterson, meeting the women in parking lots, handing off a bag with instructions. Then they finish the product, call me, say it's ready. I go back and pick it up. So we're trying to keep our team together as best as possible for quality purposes, for selfish reasons. I adore the women that we work with, and I want to make sure that they're taken care of as best I can. COVID has really hit us from the standpoint that I've probably lost 60% of my revenue this year by not being able to do in-person shows.
Right.
So we did tons of trunk shows, house parties, charity events, you name it. Last holiday season, I did 17 shows in 13 days. This year, no shows.
Yeah.
So we're trying to switch, send out trunk show in a box to individuals around the country, sending additional product into the retail stores that we work with. We want to help them drum up sales as best we can. We're trying to just be the best possible partner we can to as many people.
Yeah, and you know, your story is unfortunately is not uncommon in everything, right? I mean, Erica, in your work that you do, and you know, the people who come to you for advice, like myself, you know, we're all trying to learn how to live in a social and digital world these days, right? So tell us a little bit about, you know, what you've seen and experienced in 2020.
Yeah, so my my Moms Can Code, now Digital Project Masters, was started out as a program teaching, moms, women, how to code and gain these digital skills so that they could seek, employment, preferably remote employment. So this year was kind of weird, bittersweet, a lot of words, because a lot of the things that we were advocating for, and looking to make change culturally in organizations kind of happened without warning and so fast. So, everyone kind of fell into remote work, even though we were talking about it for such a long time, and then it happened. And for
Right.
so long, we had heard it's not possible to have these physicians be remote or do this thing remotely. And we'd been operating remotely since 2017. So we knew that it's possible, but there was such a lot of people were apprehensive about it. So from, it's something that I had experience with, but then I didn't realize how many people hadn't been on, Zoom before, or used these different platforms and things. So it was kind of strange learning that so many business owners and so many people now needed our help to do. So, essentially what, I'm still working with women, and we have classes twice a week, and now they're working with our clients, but we transitioned from mainly a program to an agency. So 90% agency, 10%, program. And, thankfully though, because we've been able to help these, small businesses, nonprofits, organizations go digital. So it's been really, for us, it's been a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think it's something that a lot of the things were things that that we do should be things that are in place anyway, for the sustainability, longevity of an organization or a business, for lead generation, for marketing. So, when we're talking to clients, it's not just for this moment and in response to COVID, it's how do we help you sustain your business online? And it's been fun also teaching.
Yeah. And so that's, and that's why I thought the two of you coming together was a perfect match. So, Brett, let's talk a little bit about marketing and CRM and email marketing and moving your business to 100% or 90% online, and what that would mean for you. Like let's talk about how we can help you overcome any obstacles that you're facing right now. So here you are, it's, we're, as we tape this, we're, really in full swing, getting ready for the holiday season, which of course is coming earlier than any other year. What are some of the issues that you're looking at right now and going forward into 2021 from a marketing and database management point of view?
Keeping up. Every day I feel like I'm bombarded with a newsletter, a blog post, an update from either Shopify, who hosts my website, and or any of the other platforms that I'm using. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because they're all very helpful tips and they're just trying to help me grow my business. But I might get one update started and then there's one more thing, and then an algorithm changes, and then now I'm supposed to be selling off Instagram, and then now I need to add SMS to my email campaigns. I mean, when COVID really kicked in here in the Northeast, we all really went into lockdown. We did what we were asked to do, and we wanted to protect everyone around us. I had a very hard time personally jumping on that email extravaganza of, here, we're having a sale. here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. Buy from us. Because I kept thinking, wait a minute, people are really sick. People's businesses are closing. Everything's on hold. And I emotionally had a very hard time wrapping my brain around that. That was the problem. That wasn't the smartest business decision. And so I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up in the email campaign cycle. There's always something new to talk about. We are not a promotional brand by any means. So to bombard people with, here's a sale or buy this, buy now, it's striking the balance between the story that we have to tell about the women that we employ and what our social platform is, and being a brand that needs to sell a lot of product to stay in business.
So
And sometimes it's tough.
So Erica, here's Brett's company, Brett Lauren Jewelry, and she's coming into arguably the busiest time of the year for her, right? The holidays. And the struggle is just trying to keep up, the changing algorithms, the updates and whatnot. And she's also trying to run a business and make jewelry. So what are some suggestions that you can give her to help her be productive and stay updated and run her business better?
Yeah, so I think that, as you're talking, one of the first, questions have come to mind is, have you done any Zoom trainings for the women? Are they able to join you online? And then that led to also my next question, are you able to host virtual trunk shows? Has that been something you've tried in the past?
So training the women isn't a problem. They all have phones, but limitations beyond that. I don't know where some of them are living right now, some of the women that we work with. So there are a lot of inherent challenges there to begin with.
Right.
Fortunately, they've been making product for me long enough that they know exactly what to do, how to do it. The quality is there, and I take things back and forth. I've been told countless times to start doing virtual trunk shows. As you had to coach me through getting on Zoom right now, I am technologically challenged and equally terrified.
Okay. So, what are you terrified of?
Being on camera.
Hey, listen, if I can do it, anybody can do it. When people tell you have a face for radio, you can kind of take that to heart after 2 or 3 times. So I'm glad you're here. So please. So you're good. You're good. If I'm good, you're good.
Yeah. And also having the right tools. Again, what do I need to make the best presentation from a technology standpoint, from a physical lights, settings, backgrounds. Hi, here's my bracelets here in Vanna White. Like, I need somebody to either do it for me or be right next to me and say, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in real quick, just because I know Erica. I know Brett personally, and we've had some conversations back and forth where we talked about her business, and what we said was, okay, look, the situation that we're in is, whatever game plan she had was blown to pieces, and we looked at, okay, what is salvageable, what's blown up, and what is still intact, and that's the first thing we did. But what I said to her was, we need to have a goal, like an end of the year goal in mind, because when you're in uncharted territory, you need to set up mile markers along the way. Am I going on the right path? So what we did was we said, okay, here's where we want to be. Here's where you want to be from a revenue standpoint and from a number of pieces sold at the end of the year. And then we backtracked it. We said, okay, here are milestones between today and the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And so, let's use that. And so let's forget everything else right now. Let's forget the updates. Let's forget SMS. If you could sit on the corner and sell, X number of pieces of jewelry out of the back of your car and it helped you hit your goal, done. Right. And so that's important to remember for everybody who's listening, is that everything we're talking about here is a means to an end. Don't lose sight of the end. The end is, here's my revenue number, here's my number of pieces sold, here's where I want to be on December 31st.
Yeah.
Because you can get lost in the weeds of it. Yeah. So she has a very specific number in mind, and you're doing pretty well, right, with that number.
Yeah. And I've got to get more updates for you, and we do have some things on the books, if you will. I was able to book 2 local outdoor shows. I'm going to open up my studio for in-person shopping appointments, socially distanced, masks, following all protocols, making sure everybody's comfortable. And I figure I'll do that for a week. I'm hoping that people will be intrigued and want to come inside and see sort of, the studio and where things happen. And we all kind of want to see inside everybody's life or house, or, what's it really like?
Yeah.
And, maybe there's something I can do with that in the virtual world. As Erica shakes her head.
Yeah. So I think, a couple of things. I do online events for nonprofits and organizations, and I don't think you're a nonprofit. I think, right, you're a for-profit, but the stories of the women and why you started this company and how it works is really compelling. And if you're nervous about being online, just keep that in mind. You're doing it. You're not selling bracelets only. You're sharing their stories, and you're selling these items so that you can also continue to help support them. So as you mentioned, you don't know where a lot of them are living, or they don't have the necessary tech, which also might mean that their kids don't have the necessary tech to keep up in school. And this has, it has a ripple effect. Yeah. So I also, if we're talking about just tech coming online on a platform like this and sharing your story, that's what it's about. When it comes to all the updates and the tech, right, people can pre-order bracelets with a PayPal link. And, I think everyone at this point would be understanding if it took 2 to 3 extra weeks to get their items, if they knew that it was eventually coming for maybe Valentine's Day or, for Christmas up in the upcoming weeks. Go ahead.
Keep up with the production. My challenge is, again, back to the tech and getting the information out there. So changing the photos on the homepage of the website to say, oh, by the way, yeah, we do know Black Friday and Cyber Monday are coming, and it's the holidays, and we are going to.
Yeah.
But it's just so, I blame it on my age that I just never got into the social media, that I was older before it started. It's a lame excuse, but I stuck with it.
Yeah.
Because it scared me and it's intimidated me, and I deal with, being totally honest and transparent, I deal with some mental health issues and insecurity and depression and anxiety, and the social media absolutely fuels that for me. Intellectually, I know everybody's putting their best foot and face forward. I put makeup on tonight for this for the first time in ages. I get how it works, but at the same time, it's hard. Like, how am I going to compete with the bigger companies? How am I going to compete with the advertising? How am I going to have the best subject line to have them open?
Well, let's say Instagram, for example, because I'm somebody who I don't like to share photos. I did in my younger years, like to take a ton of selfies and put stuff out there. But also it's really, I always laugh at, especially if, business owners are like, I make 6 figures, and it's like nonstop Instagram all day and these perfect photos. because you have to set time aside to take those photos, and that's a whole photo shoot. And that's also, right, not productive on a day-to-day basis, right? If it doesn't help you, if Kristen Cavallari, for example, with, they show her on her show, she goes out to Cancun and takes photos, right? That's what we see. But with your business, it's not about you, thankfully, in a way, that the pieces can be photographed, and you're sharing the stories of the women and quotes and stories of the buyers and why they chose to support you. So there's so much content that doesn't have to revolve around you. And that's a good thing for those days that you are feeling insecure and don't want to share and bear it all.
And you're absolutely right. And I so appreciate you reinforcing that in my brain. I struggle a lot with, I have the ideas, I know the email campaigns I want to run. I want to get more photos of the women who are purchasing and get their stories and why. I have a problem executing when there are so many different platforms, just the tech part of the business versus, running the business, designing the product, getting it made, those things. It's the email campaigns, it's Pinterest, it's Instagram, it's now SMS. I mean,
I can tell you right now, you're doing too many things.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you go on Google Analytics, hopefully, you have that information on your website. Where are people coming from? And it will tell you that should answer where to be, your focus should be.
Remember to ever look at those things.
If 70% of your traffic is coming from Instagram, forget everything else.
And
You're
focus on
focusing
Instagram.
And that's it.
Yeah. Reason. That is not something I've ever claimed to be, but I'm aspiring to it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's simplify your life, okay? Because to Erica's point, you're trying to do too many things, and you're spreading yourself too thin, and so let's, if you told me one time about a program that you did, like a layout you did, and it took you hours and hours, and very frustrating. And so what's the goal there? Like, what do you think is going to come out of that? And would that time be better spent focused on the other aspects of your business that are successful? So again, I go back to, here's where I want to be at the end of December. And here's the revenue number, and here's the number of pieces. Now, friends and family, you have such an amazing story. The jewelry is absolutely beautiful. The work that you do with women in underserved communities is admirable. And I do want to touch on the mental health aspects of your business, which just is even a bigger reason why people should want to support you and get that story out. And it's something that all three of us have in common, that we share. I've been very public about my son's mental illness. He's been dealing with it for 6 years. We actually have a podcast now called iDaft. I didn't ask for this. And, we've talked a lot about it, the three of us, in separate conversations about, there are some days you just, you close the door, you want to get in the bed, and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. So on top of trying to figure out the updates, trying to figure out the SMS, trying to figure out what social media platforms are working and how you're going to get the workers the jewelry so they can make it, you're wondering how the hell you're going to get out of bed in the morning. And here's something that most people don't realize. There are millions of people, especially business owners, just like you and me, who feel that same way. And so that's something I just want to spend, a little time discussing while we're here, is because COVID has certainly upset the apple cart. It's thrown us all out of our comfort zones, and it's made life very unpredictable. And it's put a lot of strain on us mentally, physically. COVID-19, I think I'm more like COVID 25, when it comes to the weight. But feel free to weigh in with your own experiences. Erica, how have you been able to cope with mental health and COVID and what this year has brought?
Yeah, I don't think I've shared this publicly, but before COVID, like right before COVID, I was really struggling and going through not wanting to get out of bed. And I had a cohort of women. So I was teaching, so I would get up because they were counting on me. But it was really hard to do it. And it was really dark, probably 6 months even before COVID. And so in a weird way, it was, this time is nothing new. Like, it's something I've been through before. And in the moment, you don't feel like it's going to, I've been really open about this too. There are days where it's like, it's the end, I'm done. And then,
Yeah.
but I know that I can look back at other times in my life where I've come through it and come out on the other side. And it's been, I don't know when, if it's 2 weeks or 2 months or, 2 years in some cases, but come out of that darkness. I call it the upside down, like on Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my, I'll say like, I'm in the upside down today. And my husband knows, like, something's, I'm just in a different mental space that day. So I think that's what has kept me going, is that I've been through difficult things before, and this is difficult, but this is not the worst. Being quarantined at home with my family is not the worst thing. Having lost business, I've lost business before. I've not been able to pay bills before. This time last year, one of my utility bills was turned off for non-payment. This year, I'm thankful that everything's paid. I've paid off credit cards, debts are getting paid off. But I've been through worse, is what kept me going. And that sounds shitty. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that. It sounds crappy to say, but
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good here.
Yeah. So I think I felt really so much, empathy for people who are out there on the front lines and who have family members. And but for me, that was what it was. And I have small kids, so you can't stay in bed too long when you have young kids. They kind of, you got to get out of bed for them at least. But so those two things I think would have kept me going, and throughout the last year.
Yeah, but these are and Brett, I would love to hear from you on this, but these are the stories that, like, this is real life stuff, and I've talked to a countless number of business owners who are going through similar situations, and it's just, you have to admire the courage and the resiliency and the tenacity and the stamina and everything else that they have to turn the lights on and say, okay, I'm going to do this. People are relying on me, or I'm relying on myself, or this has got to be done. And I think that is something that it's one of those immeasurable and tangible assets of what makes being a business owner one of the greatest things in the world, is that you do have, when you kind of make yourself vulnerable, it's amazing how other people come into your life and share their experiences and help you through whatever it is you're going through.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Somebody asked me 2 days ago what would be my mantra for 2020, or how would I describe how I was feeling. And what first popped into my head was just hang on. In so many ways, similar to you, Erica, when they said, okay, everything shut down, work from home, stay in place. I was like, okay, no problem. I'm a pro at this because I've been
Yeah.
fighting for the past
Yeah.
30, or at least all my life. I mean,
Yeah.
I can do this. One of the challenges for me was when things started to get back to normal or
Mm-hmm.
progress in a positive direction. I was still working at home or trying to work.
Right.
I, similar to you, last year wasn't great for me. I have been misdiagnosed several times over the years. It just really started to kick my ass, since you swore I'm going to now.
Yeah.
And, and in January, I ended up hospitalized. And no, I'm a one woman show in my business. So, on the one hand, I was grateful it was January because there's not much going on then. But at the same time, this feeling of I don't have my phone, I don't have my computer. I, I was taken to an emergency room and then put here, I don't have a vacation notice on my email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It made me ill to think somebody's going to email a question or ask something or make a phone call and there's no one to respond. And I am obsessed with customer service. I think it's as important, if not more, than the product. And the feeling that I might let somebody down
Mm-hmm.
was devastating. So while I'm trying to heal and get the help that I need, that was constantly weighing on me. But then fortunately, there's better living through chemistry. So as I got out and progressed with medications and treatments, yes, I'm moving in a positive direction, but it's been hell. I mean, it is so up and down this year, and so many people are suffering. And one of the challenges for me and the doctors is we can't even compare this apples to apples. How
Mm-hmm.
somebody else may have responded to the medication or the treatment or anything else that's going on, because everything, and I hate this word, but is so unprecedented.
Yeah.
So add that to me trying to figure out how to be engaged with my customers without saying, oh, pick me, because I also don't feel like pick me, because I feel like a piece of crap. But I know we have a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like the upside down. I'm going to borrow that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when that happens, I think for me, sometimes because I have those feelings too. I think we all do.
Mhm.
But we all experience them at that different levels. I
Mhm.
think that's because everyone will say, oh yeah, I feel like that. I'm like, no, but you don't get it. And it's like, stop.
Right.
You're
Right.
diminishing my feelings, my experience. Like I feel it at 10, you feel it at 2.
Right. Right.
Stop.
It's so true. And yet, really in the past, we didn't have the opportunity to show this kind of vulnerability.
Mhm.
I feel like this is a recent phenomena where it's okay not to be okay. And I'm stealing that line from probably 100 other people who've talked like that about that this year. But I think it gives your customers a great opportunity to show how much they love you and they love the jewelry that you make.
Mhm.
So when you kind of share that human element of it,
I,
it's an opportunity for other people to step up and give them a chance to support you.
I
Mhm.
have started to share it, and the response was way more than I ever expected, with love and
Yeah.
positivity. I mean, that Brian, that's how you and I connected, because your
Yeah.
wife and I reconnected after all these years of growing up in the same
Yeah.
town. It's been wonderful. I think one of the hardest things is also what you absolutely have to do, and that's ask for help.
Yes.
It's so hard to do, and it's so important.
Yeah.
I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
The gifts that come with it, and the help, if it's a phone call, if it's a text, if it's a customer saying, I'm so sorry, if it's somebody saying, here, try this app instead of this. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many ways. And I think people want to help. I think they
They
really
do.
do. I can't ever recall a situation asking someone for help and not getting it.
Right. Although I do know that it happens. Like
Yeah.
that's probably the worst feeling in the world. And it's funny because this was actually a session on marketing, but the twist and the turns that it takes. But this let's put this more into the kind of the human kindness and human spirit, portion of the programming. But the biggest fear is saying I'm struggling and I need help, and people don't respond. And that does happen. And I think that's the fear that holds us back from asking, is that, or even sharing a story. There's a great quote: never share your problems with somebody who's unqualified to help you. There's nothing worse than where you say to somebody, hey, I'm going through this. And they kind of go, well, how's the rest of your day going? And you're
Yeah.
like, okay.
So I had that happen more when I was a teenager, and I have a I'll never forget her saying this. I was probably 14. No, I was 15, and I was struggling with depression and anorexia, and all the things. And I had a friend call, and I was insulting her. I was like annoying her with all my being this way, and she just said, "Why don't you just take a gun and put it to your head?" Like, just stop the drama.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I hung up
Wow.
because that, thankfully I was in an okay enough mind space to not take that, I wasn't in the upside down that day.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
that differently. But I've always remembered that thankfully a lot of other people, the other people around, weren't like that. This was just, this one person. But the fact that anyone would say that to somebody has always stuck with me. Like there's a bias, there's feelings against, seeing someone who's struggling with mental illness, or, in that case, it was, me deciding not to eat. And to have such a visceral, mean reaction to it,
Yeah.
what has stuck with me as, no, people do have this bias against mental illness and mental health. And I'm sharing it publicly here. I've been more open about it over the years, because if I don't, I have this feeling, I haven't heard people I admire speak openly about it, and or have examples of other women, professional women, business owners. So I always hope that when I share, someone else is going to chime in. So I'm thankful for that you brought this up and you've brought us together, because I think these conversations are important. But that's always stuck with me as
It's amazing, right? How cruel the world can be, but then at the same time, how beautiful it can be, because the
exactly.
person, the fact that the both of you are here today and are as successful as you are today is a testament to whatever it is. Maybe it's in your DNA, that, okay, with this batch of mental illness, we're going to also give you, fortitude and strength and courage that very few people have, because that's what it takes. It does to and to say, I'm going to be on a mountaintop, one day in the not too distant future, and I'm going to appreciate that moment because of what it took to get there, more so than almost anybody else that I know. So I know that it's in my future, and I tell that to my son a lot, and he has come so far in the last 6 years because of his support system, but because of his courage and his strength. So holy shit! Now I'm gonna curse. Holy shit! It has been this has been just wonderful. really had like just a wonderful experience. And I'm gonna just kind of swing this back to marketing for a second, because Brett, you have a great product. You have a great story. You know, Erica's giving you some fantastic ideas about focus, right? And about telling your story. And I think that's really what we should focus on, you and I, for the next couple of weeks, is just telling your story, introducing it to people, and showing them how great your products are, and work through some kind of referral system so that other people can say how much they enjoy it. I think I told you this. I went out to dinner one night with my wife and my sister-in-law and her husband, and she had 3 of them on. She had 3 of your bracelets on, not knowing that you and I had connected. And I'm like, I know those bracelets.
Benefit small town.
Yes, but so there's a great story there. So what are our takeaways from our conversation today?
Well, if I can interject one thing back to marketing and then to what Erica does, and a tool or automation and systems, I think are what's going to save me, give me a lot of the help that I need. So, hopefully I don't ride off in some random afternoon again. But in the event that should happen, I'm covered somewhat.
Right.
But I do think I'm working on not being so afraid of all those tools and trying to embrace them to do what I need them to do. My God, I've been paying for them long enough. I should really
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know they work. I know email campaigns work. I know those things. It's making the connection. And when my business is my name and my brand, and I'm constantly being told, they want to know about you, and it's a lifestyle, and it's a this. I'm like, what lifestyle? That is not one that they're doing right now. Sharing, not sharing too much. I'm sick of me. Like,
but
why
you're
does anybody else want to see all that? But at the same time, Brian and I have talked about this. I said I came out on Facebook. I relayed a story about mental illness or mental health that led to the mental illness post, and I can't be a hypocrite anymore. I can't be a silent advocate. It's time to be a public advocate and let other people see that we can get through this.
Yeah, the dark days come. I mean, that's the concept.
Right.
Just right. How do you, I had a great therapist who, whenever I was down, she would say, make me, say like, well, how long did it take this time to get out of it? And I would say 2 days, and she goes, well, last time it was 2 months, or last time it was 2 weeks. Like, are you lessening the time that you're spending down, or are you like, how much quicker are you the next time to get up and shorten the times in between? Maybe it's less episodes per year, or during the holidays, if that's a trigger that's coming up for a lot of us. Right.
Yeah.
For me, this year will be good if I'm not as affected by the holidays. That will be a win. I think that it's slow and incremental.
And I think it's also the purpose beyond us. I mean, I may not want to get out of bed, and a lot of times I don't, but I am so emotionally invested in the ladies that I work with.
Yeah.
They're a huge motivation for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so responsible to them in my heart. I can't let them down.
I think that automation has to become your best friend, from what I'm hearing. And I think you're probably using too many tools and need to spend some time looking at where are your sales coming from online. All of the, like, if 60% of your revenue came from online sales and 40% came from the in-person events that you did before, something like this, a pandemic wouldn't be the end of your business. So
Right.
I think that also it's more sustainable to happen automatically and be online for, that's one of the, if you are struggling 1 month, one season, it's not the end of your livelihood of your business because it's all able to continue on without you online.
I knew I was going to have to really focus on building the online, and I wanted to. I mean, let's be honest, it's where your best margins are. It's where you own all your information. It's all the
Yeah.
point. This is an interesting way of going about it.
Yeah. I think that, the biggest thing is getting, when somebody makes a purchase, that they're getting an automated email. That when somebody signs up on your website, that they're getting an automated email welcoming them, telling them your story. And then another follow-up email telling them about the stories of the women, and having sequences already set up for different, ways that people might come across your site. Same from social media, and that's really easy to set up. It's, thinking of, if someone comes to my website and they sign up for a newsletter, what's the first email that they should get from me? And that's after they make a purchase. All that.
All of those. I have the basics.
Mm-hmm.
It's the personal engagement. It's the filler.
Right. Right.
I have those basics: the welcome sequence, the nurturing sequence, the abandoned cart, the purchase. It's reminding them that I'm in business so that they go to the website, so that we do the other things, because everything I've done has been so sporadic that I'm jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, those have to be automated too then.
Right. And you and I, we can talk about that more. And for everybody who's listening, we're going to create a resource page at the bottom of the video that will include a lot of the takeaways of how to automate your e-commerce business. So we'll definitely do that to share with everybody.
Yeah.
But you also have to be a good storyteller, Brett. You just don't lose sight of that. Don't make it so transactional, your purchases. There's meaning. You showed me, you took me through the beads, and you spun the beads, and you talked about how each one was like its own little world. And these are fabulous stories. So let's figure out a way to tell your story, to tell a story of your jewelry and the people who make your jewelry. And then let's figure out a referral system where people can refer. You have that in place right now, right?
Yeah.
Refer a friend. And let's really double down on that. Let's double down on that. And then you have your best customers become your advocates and your ambassadors.
Yeah. It's there's so many things. And I also, I'm sure, like everybody else, squirrel syndrome.
Yeah, I think that if what you're struggling with, what I hear is like the filler, and in the end, that's just copy. There's, where do you want to invest your time? If you're not a copywriter, you're not a copywriter. I've taken courses, and I, can do so much, but there's, if you're not feeling like you're doing the best job at telling your own story, that's when it's time to hire a copywriter.
Yeah. And great
just
point.
get it out of the way. Obviously it's an investment, but if it's just them putting together templates, that's something else that I have found really helpful when I've worked with copywriters, is having templates, like a Mad Libs,
Yeah.
That's what I call it. I've called it Mad Libs. I had my graphic designer actually
create the templates, and
she
right.
15 of them. And then I think one of my biggest challenges, I have to have structure and I have to have discipline. And when I'm on my own, which is basically 100% of the time, it's squirrel. It's the next thing. It's figuring out the schedule and starting something and sticking to it. And I'm sure you've experienced some of the cognitive challenges of
Yeah.
depression.
I have a simple rule, and this is just in general for the last year or so. If it doesn't make me money today, I'm not focusing on it. So if I
Boom.
have a long priority list, if
Yeah.
it does not, there's no direct line to cash in my bank account, I am not focusing on it today. Everything else comes second or third or fourth or 10th. It's whatever I'm talking to, whoever's going to make that, that sponsor, that deal for that client, or only speaking to that client because that's what's on the table today.
Yeah. And that comes from a GPS plan and goal setting.
Yeah.
Right. And let's get back to that. So marketing is going to help you achieve your goals. It's going to help you create sales so that you can hit your number. And to Erica's point, it's all about focus, especially now, especially when you're dealing with mental health issues and updates and SMS things and
Forget the SMS.
yeah,
Forget
yeah.
it.
But I'm saying all of that stuff. Yeah, it's let's as someone once said to me, let's take a great leap backwards, out of the mess that you're in right now. Get back on the solid ground and start all over. And when I say start all over, I'm not talking about from square one, but I'm saying, okay, where am I today? Whiteboard it. Here's where I want to be. And again, if I can sell these bracelets out of the back of my car on Sheridan Avenue and hit my goal, I don't need any of this. And so the question is, how much of this, and by this I mean marketing, email marketing, social media, updating your website, how much of that do you need in order to achieve your goals? Because you have your referral system in place, you have your friends and family, you have a very loyal following. We talk about that. So you do that from a solid ground. Don't try and do that while you're like neck deep in something and then say, okay, where's that plan? Let me figure. Take that step backwards onto solid ground and go, okay, you know what? Let's rethink this right now. Let's take an assessment of where I am. I think there are 45, 46 days left in the year. How much does that mean I got to sell every day between now and the end of the year? How many pieces, how much revenue? And then
you just
what's
said
going to
something
help me
really,
get there?
you
What's
just said
that?
something really important. I break it down by day. So if I have
Yeah.
a financial goal, I need to know how much does that mean by day,
Yes.
or by week. And then that way I'm keeping track of where I need to be.
I'm big on giving myself timeouts right now to try and reset if it's just getting to be too much or I can't focus or I go off in too many directions at once. It's like, okay, take a breath, take a time out.
Take a nap.
Take a nap.
Take a nap.
All right. So we're gonna have to wrap this up. Otherwise, we're gonna have to break it into like 3 parts. So this is everything. And this is marketing. This is sales, customer service, HR. So what are we going to call this session? I mean, I had like small business spotlight. Now I got to think about what it was supposed to be on marketing, and it was, but there's so much more to it, which I'm grateful for. So we'll have to kick this around. All right, final takeaways, and then I'm gonna ask our viewers to do something for us. So I'll start with Erica. You.
I think so. For do we go with takeaways for business owners out there, or
Takeaway for Brett?
for Brett?
Yeah.
I think reminding yourself every day why, that the stars of the business are the women that you're helping and that they're, relying on you, I think is a, kick in the pants to get up in the morning. But it's also from a marketing perspective to keep that in mind, that the story is it is your story, it is your name, but that it's also about telling not just your story, their stories. And there's so many ways, and these are good things to share those stories. Whether what Brian said, he was at dinner and the women were wearing, what was it, your sister-in-law was wearing the bracelets?
Yeah.
Right. How do you motivate her to, when that happens, when she's out, or Brian knows and recognizes your jewelry, that they're snapping a photo and tagging you and using your hashtag, so that, as you build, you're building relationships with your customers through storytelling, that they're also feeling empowered and encouraged to share that they're also a part of this movement with you. And then effectively that takes a lot of that pressure off of you to create all of that content. So I think, as Brian's talking, let's think really about your story and how you can get that more out there and infuse that into your marketing content, and because it's authentically you. And then as much automation as possible, but I always say smart automation, and the right tools are important. So take a look at where is your income coming from online, and if it's not directly, and if you go online and you see that 70% is from Instagram, forget Pinterest, forget SMS text,
Forget Facebook.
how do you forget everything except Instagram, and think about, how do I drive more people from Instagram to click on that link or get those people to refer somebody, and build that out. And I think that over the next couple of weeks, Instagram is going to be where people are shopping thanks to their updates.
Yeah.
That new UI layout. But definitely these tools can help you, but you're not meant to use all of them unless you're a multi-million dollar company with staff to run each of them and have a content team. It's just you, and that's okay. That's okay.
Sometimes our multiple personalities do think that we have a content team.
I'm gonna echo what Erica said as my takeaway for you. From a marketing perspective, less is more. It's a means to an end. Find out what works, double down on that, and don't worry about all the other updates. Don't worry about being on every platform for everybody. We're going to focus on one or two platforms that work the best for you and really drive it. We're also going to look at storytelling and referrals and ambassadors and advocates for your brand. And we're going to measure everything on a daily and weekly basis. I think, and for all of our listeners out there, I highly suggest, if you're in an e-commerce business and you're selling products or selling services, to do the same thing. Now's not the time to be experimenting and kind of widening your search, saying, where else can I be? Especially if the last 2 months of the year are big months for you. It's really focus now on what works and eliminate what doesn't. You can always pick that up next year.
Yeah.
All right. Brett.
Yes.
Are you happy that you were the first small business owner to be in our spotlight?
Delighted.
Yes, you were fantastic.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you. It's great to meet Erica. Yeah. Brian, you've been a tremendous help, and I look forward to continuing these exercises, and I'm grateful.
Good. So here's what we're going to do too. We're going to figure this out, but I'm going to put a link to your website and all your social media on the resources page of this small business spotlight, and maybe we'll offer some incentive for anybody who's watching this to buy your jewelry. And I want you to somehow let's figure out how they can leave a comment. I want to give 5 bracelets away to people who will. I tell you what they can do. They can go onto our Twitter account, Small Biz Edge, or maybe it's Instagram. How about they go onto your Instagram account, Brett?
Okay.
Is that the best? That's the best vehicle. What's the Instagram account name?
Brett Lauren B.
Brett Lauren, Lauren, and the letter B. Correct. Brett Lauren B on Instagram. And I want you to follow her, and I want you to like her photos on Instagram. And what we're going to do, I also want you to leave a comment. I want you to leave a comment about watching the spotlight today, and we're going to select 5 people randomly to win a bracelet from Brett Lauren Jewelry. How does that sound?
Fantastic.
And we get you closer to your goal.
Love it.
All right. Anything else before we sign off? All right. To you both, thank you very much. This has been phenomenal. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate your openness, your vulnerability. Certainly, it caught me by surprise, which I appreciate, and given the opportunity to tell my son's story a little bit. Okay, let's go out there. Let's kick some ass. Figure I got to end it with a curse word, right? And for everybody watching and listening, and in advance, we appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your comments. Go to the website, bootcamp.smallbusinessedge.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Sign up to take our business owner quiz, and share your comments with us. Let us know what you think about what we talked about tonight. All right. Thank you all very much, and everyone, be safe, be healthy, and sell a lot of product.